Okay, sweet.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest to try. My family, SOE, got the tools to survive. Yeah.
What's your email address from when you were 11 years old?
Email didn't exist when I was 11 years old.
What was your first email address?
It was something with my last name and my student ID number at college.
Okay. So it wasn't anything inappropriate?
No, I never had anything like that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it.
The original geargod@hotmail.com was my first email address.
Nice.
And then it was jwillis10@san.rr.com. And I still have that.
Yeah.
They both redirect to the current one. So Nicole Sauce, for you guys that don't know, why are you called Nicole Sauce?
Because my stripper name was Nicole Sauce.
What's the real reason?
The real reason is that I sang in a band for 15 years singing rock and roll.
And what was the name of the band?
Sauce.
And you're a pretty good singer.
I hear I'm a good singer.
I'm like, yeah, when I hear you sing, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot she actually is a good singer. Yeah, I came out and watched you. I sat there for 15, 20 minutes the other night when you were on stage.
I was singing 80s tunes.
Yeah, but you like knew all. Did you have the lyrics in front of you?
I had to look at, that one song, I think, Tainted Love, doesn't have lyrics. It just has 3 lines that you say over and over.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, I could totally do that song then.
Yeah, you could totally do it. There's not much there. There's an official order in which they go, and nobody knows the order except for the original artist, so we just sing it.
We should make that a rap song.
Yeah, you should totally do it.
But add a bunch more lines to it.
Yeah.
Like I could do 6, I think, maybe 5.
He could do 6.
6. Because I have 30 hours in my day. So today is Monday.
It is Monday.
And I see that you're not wiped out by the tornado. Was there any tornado damage by you?
There was nothing near us. We had one tornado that touched down, I think, in Watertown, which is 25 miles from me.
There's probably no water in Watertown.
You can't drink the water in Watertown. Because
is that real?
That's real. People need to filter that crap out of the city water.
What polluted it?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just know that whatever's in the water makes people feel bad, so they filter it. And a friend of mine wrote a song, Can't Drink the Water in Watertown.
Where they dug the hole 500 years ago.
Yeah,
It's now
probably.
polluted?
Yeah, it's either that or, some
Weird.
sort of
So
pesticide
you're here.
stuff.
So SRF just happened.
Yes.
I think it was awesome.
I loved it. It was my favorite one so far.
Why?
I think because I had a chance to walk around and see things more than usual because the staff was so awesome. I didn't have to do anything. And so I just got to hear what people were talking about. The energy of the crowd was a little bit more solutions oriented this time than the last 4.
Yeah, I saw there was a lot of faces that were not here.
Yeah, there were a lot of new people.
There was new people. Mm-hmm. There was definitely crossover between them.
Yeah.
Was the staff different, or they're just more prepared now, or they've just matured and done it so many times now?
It's all of those things. So there were some new staff. There was staff that had been there enough times that they knew exactly what they were doing. And then I purposefully stepped back from what I had been doing, and Mama Sauce stepped back from what she had been doing to just give them the decision-making power. And that meant that they just ran what they were running.
And they
nailed it.
Nothing weird happened?
Nothing weird. Well, probably something weird happened. I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, I didn't hear about anything weird.
Nobody complained to me the whole time.
Can we have cinnamon rolls next time?
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
That's what you want?
Cinnamon rolls.
Oh yeah, because cinnamon roll lady didn't come.
Oh, I always thought it was the dude that makes the breakfast sandwiches.
No, it's Sarah.
Where was she?
She is going to my spring workshop, which is in 3.5 weeks, and they were too close for her to do both. She's coming in October, I think.
She should have came here, because I know she's not bringing cinnamon rolls.
She totally brings cinnamon rolls to mine.
Whatever.
I can get you cinnamon rolls in April.
I don't even want your cinnamon rolls.
But do you want hers?
Nope.
Yeah, you probably don't want mine.
I only want them here.
You only want them here?
I took home ec, and we made cinnamon rolls,
Yeah.
and they were really good. And then I made them at home, and I don't know what happened, but they were really salty.
Too much salt would
probably,
be my guess.
And that was the end of my cinnamon roll career.
So salt and sugar look a lot alike.
That's not what happened.
That's what I was going to say. That's like the old joke that you put
definitely not what happened.
It could be unsalted butter and salted butter.
Could be.
That's one that gets people.
Could be. And I like a cream cheese frosty, and I don't really care for the what's that that generic cinnamon roll used to be in
like
the mall.
The caramel.
It's in
Cinnabon?
Cinnabon, yeah. I used to like that, and I feel like something's changed.
It's
Maybe
too sweet.
I used to, when I worked at a pizza place, I used to make like the drizzle that was very similar to that, and it's powdered sugar with water.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And then add cinnamon in. You could do it with pizza dough. Totally. So what's the change? What's the improvement, change, or deviation for SRF 6?
SRF 6, I think we need to level up.
Okay. What's that look like?
And to me, it looks like some changes in topics. So what I'm looking at is having...
Ferris wheel.
Yeah. I think a Ferris wheel is a great idea. Yeah.
And dolphins.
Dolphins, as long as they're land dolphins.
No, they sell them. We can go to Japan and get them.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Are you going to go to Japan and get dolphins?
No, but I got a guy.
Okay. But he always has a guy.
We can put them. We can put
Put him
them
in the aquaponics system?
You could totally put them in the aquaponics system, but I was thinking like kiddie pools.
Yeah. What I was thinking is that we have some longer and more in-depth sessions available, because it's always been 45 minutes and that's it, because I have the attention span of a gnat. And so I want people's presentations to be over, but I watched Mike Shelby do his thing. And
that's a different animal too. That's something that we haven't been exposed to. So that's kind of new to everybody, right? That's more that the military side. Mm-hmm. And I think we should clash a lot of those dudes in.
Yeah, I think so too.
And he's got a cadre that'll travel around like that. That's information that applies to every person that was here. Yeah.
And it was well done. I have to watch the replay because that was in the morning, but he went 2 hours and did me a favor and shrunk it down to 2 hours, right? And I think there is room for some longer, more in-depth things, especially for the people who kind of get it on the overview at this point.
Yeah, those dudes he was here with have a very, very impressive resume. I don't know that that's forward-facing, but those guys are still active duty. They're still doing those jobs.
Well, I think that was a great addition to this one. I think we should see about amplifying that.
Yeah.
And then also, I would like to schedule tours of your system.
Yeah, once it's back alive. the berm up top, I keep calling it a berm, but the swale up top is functioning flawlessly.
I bet.
Every time it rains, it floods up the ridgeline pond.
Yeah.
And then it runs backwards and fills up to the main pond. Everything's growing. But it looks like right now, this last weekend, it looks like we dropped a hot air balloon bomb full of Roundup everywhere. It's just everything's dead because of the time of year.
Oh yeah.
But it's starting to wake up. Like all those trees, they're all putting on new growth. Everything that's been planted is like the strawberries are starting to wake up. The oregano, all the seed that they put in is coming up. It'll look like a jungle
in October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be fighting grass by October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless your sheep hop too.
But they can if we put the sheep in there, the grass is all in that dirt that we disrupted, to make those berms. So we put the sheep in there, they're not going to eat the grass. They're going to eat all the shit we want to grow.
Yeah, what I do with mine, I use the electric wiring and I keep them. I have micro swales, so mine are smaller, but I keep them off the swale part. Mm-hmm. And then I want them eating the grass in the alley.
Yeah, we will. We can totally alley crop it, but the grass is like 60-70% of everything growing up there is grass right now.
Yeah. And
that's what happened with a lot of the stuff we planted this last year, is that it came in really good when we planted it, and then the grass came up and literally just destroyed.
Knocked it out, yeah.
Couldn't get sunlight. Mm-hmm. So it's a daily thing. You just got to get down there on your hands and knees and cut 20 feet of it at a time. You can pull it, but it's never ending. That root system's in there.
Yeah, well, and pulling it disturbs the other plants too, so it just depends on how you want to do. I knocked out my oregano in one part of my swale. I don't know what plant it is, but I know that it gets taller than I am by the end of the summer, and it's all just littered on one side. And I need to manage that, or else I'm just going to have that there.
Yep. And then we were talking about a chicken processing.
Yeah, so maybe? I think should I go public with this piece of information or not, John? That's the one thing I might not say.
Just say it. I can change.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Joel Salatin has agreed to speak in October.
Shit. Wow.
Yeah.
So he's going to do a chicken processing class?
And I haven't asked him about the chicken processing class, but what I was thinking, because he is speaking at Homesteaders of America, flying out here, it'll be Sunday of the event that he speaks here, to do a Monday class for chicken processing, because he teaches a pretty mean chicken processing workshop.
Yeah, I've watched a bunch of them.
Yeah.
When's Homesteaders America?
It's Friday and Saturday.
That Friday, Saturday?
Yeah, Friday and Saturday.
And then we're going to run Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
Probably, yeah.
Cool.
And people are already asking for Friday, so now people want to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
So let's
Monday.
book
So that's what's
something-
happening. We're just getting bigger every time.
Let's book something up for Friday.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, whether it's a first aid class or I mean, we could even run two things. We could do a rabbit processing.
There's a lot of demand for ham.
Yeah, so I had actually told Evan to reach out to you about that. That's actually what I had in my head that wasn't coming to my mouth. But yeah, let's do that then. Let's run him on Friday because we could book up. There's a ton of people that's applicable to everybody because everybody has one of those $35, $40 radios.
I totally do.
And nobody has it. Nobody's even turned it on.
It's not been programmed. It's in a bag.
I've got 12 of them that aren't programmed. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. And here happens to be Evan Dixon's card right here. Radio Made Easy, and there's his sign on the wall. So that's a good idea. And then that's kind of like the cheat code to come into a class. You could come to the class, which is not expensive, especially for what you get, but that gets you access to the property early, and that also gets you access that night to the hangout where you might have 100 people instead of 500 people. So that gets you access to first dibs on product that's here, first dib on vendors. The vendors are typically setting up on Friday, and they'll sell you stuff. So that gets you access. And then typically we'll get you, you can sit down, whatever it is we're eating, we all kind of hang out together for most of that night. So that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay on compound that night this time too.
Yeah, you were talking about a trailer
I want to
or
rent
something.
a trailer or something.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like Friday night I'm leaving and it's running fine. And it's never been a problem that I'm not here, but I still feel like as the person running the event, it's a little weird to not be close.
I would still tell them you're leaving and just
I'd probably
leave.
have to. Nicole Sauce is not staying here.
Yeah.
On the side of the trailer, this is not Nicole's trailer.
If you knock on the door, it better be a real fucking emergency.
Better bring a little baggie of gold.
I'll cattle prod you once. If it's worth getting cattle prodded, then it's worth waking me up over.
So anything you change?
About this last one? I can't think of a thing. And that's not usual for me.
Yeah.
One thing I do want is the ability to run slides on the stage, which I opted not to do this time. I could have done it. I could have brought a TV in. And in hindsight, I'm really glad there was not a TV under that tent on Friday night.
Yeah, I think
it would have ruined it.
Well, I mean, we just take it inside.
Yeah. But I may just buy one and a stand and just have that so that you can see.
It'd be easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I watched I was probably listening to about 15 minutes of your live this morning.
Oh, sweet.
You're doing lives, it seems like every single day, most days?
I record everything live. I do 5 shows a week. One of them, sometimes I split into 2. So yeah, it's 4 to 5 days a week that I'm live. And the schedule moves a little bit. Like Friday's the same every Friday if I'm in town. And
then the dude you had on that had the dog on his neck?
Yeah.
Was that Joel's?
That's he has a franchise for Fortress K9. That's Pat Watson. And he transitioned out of military he was working on the police force and just realized he needed to do something different. He doesn't usually tell that part of the story. He said he was surprised that we went down that avenue, but we did. He's one of those people that you see and he's ended up where he didn't want to be. And he decided to make a change, and then he made the change, and he's not done coming out the other side of that, but he's going to come out the other side of that.
He was here with Joel in the past, though. Yes.
He was here at the September 22 event,
got it.
And just helping him with the dog. He took a dog. Somebody returned a dog, and he took it to retrain it.
Why did somebody return a dog?
Because
like having that pet monkey, it was neat on TV.
Yeah, that's the problem. So those dogs are very energetic. The person was gone at work all the time, felt guilty for leaving the dog home alone. And returned it. They're
like, hey, this Great Pyrenees should not be an apartment dog.
Yes.
And then they're like, well, I'll be the exception.
I'll be the exception. I'll have a big, fluffy, white, cute dog.
Yeah.
They're a lot of energy.
So that big-ass Toyota truck out there, are you driving that thing home?
No, Tactical is this time.
It's pretty cool. Like
I was going to drive it home on Friday.
The more I looked at it, I was just going to hide it in a shipping container and be like, I don't know where your truck is.
Somebody must have noticed how you start that without a key.
Well... we were surprised. Like when I messaged you, we were filming.
Yeah.
And Neil came in saying, "Hey, where's the key?" And then when I asked you and I read that, I'm like, "What the fuck is she talking about?" It's the short, stubby screwdriver that fits where the radio goes. I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about.
And then I wrote, I never thought I'd type a sentence like that.
So for you guys that haven't seen it, it's a white, I think like SR5. Used to probably be like the old type of bed that had the hooks on the outside, and then it's missing the bed, and it has a flat bed. And it's only got 33s. I thought it was a lot bigger, but he's got tires on there that are the same tires I'm about to put on the 4Runner.
Yep.
Just a neat-ass old truck.
1986.
It's pretty cool. Is it an 86?
It's an 86 Toyota.
So I remember thinking that's what I wanted as a kid, right? I wanted a Toyota truck. And they were in every newspaper. I don't think we even have newspapers anymore. But you could get in there, and for $5,000, you could go get an SR5 Toyota truck, no air conditioning. I think it had heat, and then it had power windows. You used to pay extra to get power windows, but they had roll-up windows, right? The manual ones.
That one has roll-up windows.
And you could buy that any day of any weekend. You could go into a Toyota dealership and buy a $5,000 truck. And I'll bet you those trucks now, I bet you couldn't get one for $5,000. I'll bet they're even more than that now.
Well, and he's rebuilt every bit of that truck at least one time. And so when he had to leave it here, and I was going to drive it home from the event, I was like, I can at least make it halfway home. It's not an easy drive. It's made for mudding.
What was halfway? What were you going to do with it halfway?
I have a friend who lives about halfway between here and there. I was going to park it at his house.
So it's closer.
Yeah, because, I probably could have made it, but I was pretty tired the day after SRF. So. And then
it needed brakes.
And then he said, well, just be careful, because if the back left brake piston goes out, I'm like, nope, scratch that. I'm not driving that truck. Like, this is how you die.
I was surprised when you got out of it.
I think Wendy was crying from laughing, because I saw her and I drove up to her in the truck, and she's like, who the hell is this person driving up to me in this truck? And
like, here comes the pickup line.
Yeah. And I rolled down the window, and she sees this to me, and she just burst out laughing. She's like, I never why are you driving this truck? I said, it's Tactical's truck. I said, that's not the best part. This is the key. And I hold up the stubby screwdriver, and she just lost it. She could not. Yeah.
So are you getting one of your own?
No. I have a 1983, I think it is, Mitsubishi Mighty Max.
That's a truck, yeah.
It's a truck of the same era, so not 4-wheel drive. It has an AM, FM cassette radio.
Does it run?
It runs. Well, it needs a head gasket right now. So
we should take the air conditioning heater out of it.
It does not have air conditioning.
Let's pull all the carpet and headliner.
It didn't come with air conditioning.
Really?
It's a 5-speed manual transmission with roll-up windows, no extras at all.
How come you don't drive that around?
Because the head gasket's blown.
We could take the motor out of your car that runs and put it in that one.
No, I like my car.
No, come on, you're a homesteader.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need 2 trucks.
So I opened the door on Tactical's truck.
Yeah.
And I thought, holy shit, this is a tall step to get
it is.
in
It's
this
like
thing.
Climb up.
Even with only 33s. Like, I used to have trucks with 44s and 40s. I had to pick Amanda up and put her in the Suburban when I met her, and I'd forgotten all about having big trucks, because even my big truck with 37s, it has a step on it, but the Toyota truck and having no step.
There's no step.
Well, that Toyota, what kind of like breaks my brain is it's a mini truck in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's extremely tall.
Yeah, that used to be the thing, man.
Yeah.
Every kid wanted one of those, and every dude that could afford it had one of those.
And he could climb some rock faces with that.
Yeah,
he's really good with
like
it.
A rock crawler
yeah, it's awesome.
Especially having those tires on there, and the approach angle is really good. No crazy bumper on the front of that thing. You can get those tires right up to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's next? We're doing live with Jack Spirko tomorrow. That'll be fun. It's always a good one.
Yeah. He wants to talk. He sent me a topic. It was, the China network. Is it
TikTok?
China? Huh?
TikTok?
No, not
Brexit.
Not Brexit. That's Britain.
It's the China, Brazil.
Yeah,
so they have a bigger GDP than we do now.
Well, it's like
So now we're going to talk about that tomorrow, I'm sure.
It's not gay lesbian anymore. It's the whole fucking alphabet, and that's how that thing is. Everybody signed on to this, and China just did China just did a deal with Brazil for fuel and did not use the U.S. dollar. Like as of last week, we are not the petrodollar any longer.
So it begins.
It has begun, and not only that, so they've indicted Trump, and he has flown into New York today and surrendering Tuesday. And now they've come out of D.C. With another indictment that was announced earlier this morning, and they have subpoenaed a bunch of Trump's Secret Service agents. So my suspicion is the play is they're going to try to draw his security away from him. Who fucking knows what's going on? But like I feel like it's very fucking volatile right now. So I don't know, whatever it is.
Well, that's what we're going to talk tomorrow about with Jack.
Crazy shit going on.
Yeah.
So plant more lettuce.
I eat other things besides lettuce.
Yeah, I don't either. But lettuce grows so well, and lettuce is one of those things that when people come and look at the aquaponics, it always looks impressive.
It does, because you're like, oh, it took me 4 weeks, and it's like big, beautiful green
and
plant.
it's expensive too, like lettuce. But the cabbage is what you should pay attention to.
I really like cabbage.
Cabbage does really well on those floating rafts.
Oh, I'll have to do that, because I don't do very well with cabbage in my actual garden.
So right before, a couple weeks before we did this last SRF, I pumped out all the tanks, got all the green water out, put fresh water in, moved the fish, fixed the brakes, and turned the pumps back on. Everything's flowing. And then Sunday morning, somebody says, hey, we turned your aquaponics system off because the pump was howling. And I'm like, that's weird. So I turn it back on, and it's screaming, the pump's howling. And I'm looking, and my water level's down like 6 inches.
Oh, no.
But there's no water on the ground. I think people were taking water out of that and filtering it with filters maybe to drink, or maybe a bunch was taken out for the biochar guy maybe. But my water level was low enough that my pump ran with no water intake, so it burnt the pump out. Not a problem. I've got 2 more that should be in there when we go back inside today. We just buy those little same pumps that Jack's always said to use, and they've been great. I have another one, but I couldn't find it. I don't know where it's at. Now we have 2 extra ones.
It's somewhere.
But today, and we abuse the shit out of those fish. Yeah. Like we never run pH or nothing on them.
Right.
And you've dropped food pellets in there, and those fish, like when we moved them, they're like this big now. They're
well,
big.
You've got koi in there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're robust.
Yeah. Right on. Well, anything else?
Anything else?
Anything. What do you want to talk about?
We're going to talk to Joel Salatin in 2 weeks.
Cool.
So he's coming on.
Oh, we're going to talk to Joel.
We're going to talk to Joel. I don't think we've April 11th.
Have we ever had him on?
No.
That's pretty wild. That dude's been on Rogan like 12 times.
He's a great interview. I want to send him a couple like if you have anything you want to ask him, I like to send him a few things in advance, but I think that's going to be an interesting conversation because he's been pushing hard on start a homestead. He always did, but he went into hyper overdrive the last 2 years.
Yeah, at the beginning of the CUFUS, I definitely pandemic. Started. Yeah, he kind of shifted gears a little bit more in homesteading, less sustainable agriculture. Not less, but definitely more on, hey, you can do this in your backyard kind of stuff. His message got very amplified, and he started some other programs and stuff for sure. He was at Rogue Food Conference several years ago, and you were there.
Yeah.
Duh. I went in because I wanted to meet him, and when I got it there, he was sitting out front with Neethi. And I'm like, who is this lady? Because every time I talk to him, she'd be like, but I was attracted to Neethi, her energy. There was just something about her. I didn't have a clue who she was. But I asked Joel, I said, you're out here taking notes. I go, you have to be the absolute tip of the spear for this industry. I said, do you still find that you need to write down your message? He said, no, I'm not writing my message down. He said, I'm speaking to people as they come in. Because based on these conversations is going to be what I present. I don't know what I'm going to get up on stage and tell everybody yet because I don't know what you need. So I'm out here to meet you to see what you need. And that's really stood out to me. The guy that I'm here to see is sitting out front greeting people. And I thought that was very cool. And then Neethi, and to hear Neethi's story. And then the dude whose coffee shop they shut down.
Oh yeah, that guy was hilarious.
That dude was great.
Yeah.
And then I met Trish and Liz, who were sitting in front of me, and I'm like, man, I really wish this lady would just be quiet. She's so fucking loud, right? And she turned around and we had an amazing conversation, and like
and now they're friends.
Like, yeah, I missed her. The lady you had who was assisting with admin and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw her probably 20 times walking back, and I was super excited that Trish was here because she has kind of like Trish's haircut.
Yeah.
She's about Trish's size. She walks like Trish. And then I'm like, oh, damn, that's not Trish. I never really, she was very polite to me,
She's great.
but
Yeah.
she wasn't Trish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, this is my first week without any coffee help.
So.
Because my coffee help.
But you know how to
left.
do this.
I do. It's fine.
You totally know how to do this. And what you're probably
I
going to
roasted
find.
coffee yesterday.
And what you're going to find is you were probably, I don't know who your help was, but every time this happens to us, we realize that I'm paying 10 hours worth of stuff that I can do in 2 hours myself. And when I always go back to basic, it kind of resets, shift gears, downshift a little bit. But every time we get going, it's kind of like stressful for the first few days. But once we're back in it, we get everything completely smoothed out. And I realize that I have been running in 10 different directions, and my money goes up, right? Revenue rises. And I kind of just reorganize things, and things are a lot better. And I'm like, man, we should have done this before.
You know, that's what my lesson has been this year is my word of the year. I do a word of the year, and I focus on this word. I think about it at least once a week, and it's all about something I want to change in my life. So this one was breakthrough, because I've been like, here's breakthrough. Here's where I've been. I'm like right up to it, and then not quite getting that last push. So nothing bad. I feel successful in my life, but I feel like I can be 20 times more successful if I break through. So the first 3 months of the year was all about break. Things broke, my mouth broke, relationships broke, and all of my businesses have had like across the board weird stuff going on. Like we didn't think Mama Sauce was going to be here for SRF, and I was very nervous about that, even though I knew we would do just fine. But it's just the one time she was going to be here to cross train the person to take over next time, she was not going to be here to cross train. And then at the last minute, and I realized that, and I started thinking, okay, well, I have to stop focusing on break and start working more on the through part of breakthrough, right? Things started coming together, and it turned out Mama Sauce could be here, and due to good news in the family. And then, you know, this situation got taken care of, and everything's starting to build up. But what's happened with the businesses is they're all back to the basics. The podcast is back to the basics. The coffee is back to the basics. My webinars, I stopped doing them for a couple of months so that I can do them better in the future. I ripped my whole kitchen apart so that I could fix some things. But the end result of that is I'm building in cameras to have a studio kitchen.
Nice.
So that when I do the cooking thing, because right now when I do the cooking things, it's like move everything in the living room out of the way so that there are tripods, and get the lights in and get the lighting just right, and that's all going to get handled.
So now you're going to bracket mount them up top?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you should look how we did these.
Yeah,
here.
I will. And figure out better lighting so that it's not a 2 to 4 hour reset on either end. And then it's just super easy to record, which then means for me making that content I want to make. Because I want to show people this year, I feel called to show people how from scratch living works. So how to cook from scratch without, I will show people how to do insane things, right? Like curing bacon is not insane, but it's half insane. But you can take
it's insane to a person who's never seen it.
Right. But you can also live with some simple cooking skills. It can build into your life without taking a lot of time. And just getting those done means when you start growing food or start buying food from the source and you're faced with these ingredients that you've never worked with before, this is how you do that efficiently. And then I'll show some people some more insane things that I played, like making cheese is insane. But I make cheese and I love making cheese.
Yeah.
So not everybody will love that.
Well.
Yeah. Then they'll buy my cheese.
Don't eat cheese then. If you don't like making it, she'll sell it to you.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is the Hollow Roost is almost done. The Hollow Roost is an epic chicken coop. Have you heard us talking about
no,
that?
I watched your live.
Okay, yeah. There was a 5-hour live of this thing going on.
I saw pieces of it on the way to the auction the other day.
Yeah. No words, just building.
So I was super happy to see your mom when she showed up.
Yeah.
And she said, "Can I have the first hug?" So that was cool. I wasn't sure Mom was coming.
Yeah.
But comfort, right? You said everything broke and having breakthroughs. And that's what I was thinking. Like, I become comfortable and I get complacent, right?
Yeah.
So I step away and I just trust that people are doing things, and I don't want to get in there and and really I need to. Hey, trust but verify.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust more than verify, and
mm-hmm.
things start to slip, and it once it starts slipping, you don't even realize it is until you start hearing from customers or clients that there's an issue. And just a little bit of oversight would prevent that, but I run in a bunch of different directions.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good example. But
this is really cool, though. I love that.
Yeah, it works very well. Especially the clips where he zooms in between us, they look really good. The
mm-hmm.
shorts and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Something like this will happen at my house.
Yeah, totally easy to do too.
Yeah. And doesn't take a lot of space.
And you don't have to do, it could just be plywood and black paint.
Yeah.
And then the signs, we can get Hollow Rose signs and
mm-hmm.
Living Free in Tennessee signs and everything. Super easy to do.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how when you do go back to the basics, you start seeing some really simple changes you could have made that would have revolutionized your whole world.
Yeah.
3 years ago. And then you make the changes, and then you see other things. And that's something I'm learning. And I'm learning to hear more when people tell me things. So sometimes a lot of people tell you things without telling you things. And it's the way we indirectly communicate a lot. You're a pretty direct communicator, which I like.
My first instinct is always no.
Yeah.
People come at me with something. They could be the best idea, and I'm immediately is going to be, no, we're not fucking doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
because you didn't think of it.
But I'm a lot faster now to be like, okay, maybe, all right.
Let me think about this.
Maybe you were right.
Yeah.
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 Imagine if you had a clean slate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having the information and knowing how to build and react in a fast manner now. Imagine if everything, like if a tornado had wiped this building out this weekend. I've got a couple backup plans. Like
mm-hmm.
I was almost at peace with it, I think.
Yeah.
Imagine, I don't think it would look like it looks now for sure. We would do it completely different.
Yeah. But
I'm glad it didn't.
I'm glad it didn't too. That's a lot of work. But if you have insurance, you're building a new building, I assume.
Yeah, it's building something. Or moving.
I assume you have extra machines at your other location.
We do, yeah.
Yep. You could be sewing within 2 days.
Oh, we could be sewing within an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's important. That's something I've been thinking about a lot since the tornado event, because people were so scared. There was so much ramp up to that.
It seems weird too, because this isn't the first, we've had a lot of tornadoes, but it feels like they made a much fucking bigger deal out of it this time.
That's because of global warming.
Yeah,
which is why
that must be what it is.
But they were like, we're going to have more storm systems like this because of global warming. And I thought,
could you give me a date that you're planning this for?
2020. I think it was December 2020. Or 2021. Wasn't that when Paris got wiped out?
Paris?
Well,
Paris kind of got hit. Yeah.
Got hit up that way. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, we had some houses. I was surprised to find, because we went out to fly the drone out here.
Yeah.
And there's some $1 million homes 5 minutes from here. I didn't even know they were out there, but all that shit got hit.
That was 21.
Yeah.
2020, Cookeville got just hammered. Nashville got hammered.
Yeah.
And I think about, since I've lived here, every year or two, something has gotten hammered hard where you're like, okay, we're pulling people out of here. And that's not fun for anybody, but it happens here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see an increase in frequency, but I keep hearing about an increase, or it's worse this time. And I think that's part of the narrative.
Maybe so.
And statistically, I haven't looked. So statistically, maybe there are more tornadoes right now. Don't know.
Keep people in fear. So
yeah, but operate. I think that's part. We were all scared on Friday, and watching that, and not we were all, but people were, rather than doing the things you needed to do.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the first time that we actually had shit packed up and contained.
You were ready.
Yeah, this is the very first time that I actually took it real.
Mm-hmm.
We had the 4Runner inside the garage, had stuff in there that I perceived we would need if everything was wiped out, just thinking, well, at least these items will be inside this vehicle. We'll just have to find the vehicle. And then we had the skid steer inside because it's got a cage and shit, and there's not a lot above in the garage.
Yeah.
And I've never seen, I mean, not that it hasn't happened, but I've never seen a tractor or a skid steer like picked up and thrown.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, we'll get in this, and then if we have to, we'll push our way through the debris with this skid steer.
Yeah.
And then pull the 4Runner out and go wherever we have to go, or hopefully one of these vehicles isn't. That was the plan. We've never like gathered up stuff that I thought we would need and put in there, you know? So yeah, I mean, I guess they got me with it too.
Yeah. I was
not that it's not real. I mean, it did destroy some people's lives for sure.
Well, what killed 7 people in Savannah or so? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I hear that number and I see the destruction, and you'll see 20 houses gone and 7 people dead, and I'm like, wow, only 7 people died. So I see this differently than other people who are horrified by it. I don't like that people have to die in that situation, but I also see that it's amazing how many people make it through those things. When I think about like the earthquake in Turkey that happened where a whole lot more people died, or some of the hurricane flooding, tornadoes tend to be fairly selective, which is interesting.
Yeah, they tend to follow a path.
You just don't want you to be the one selected or anybody you know.
For sure.
So
I was talking about this just this morning because my wife and I grew up in near San Francisco, and we saw the Bay Bridge fall down.
I remember that.
Like we were there, I was supposed to be going to the baseball game that night, the one that got shut down. Anyways, if there was any way to warn against earthquakes, people would be panicking about that. But since there isn't, nobody cares. Like, the earthquake happens all the time in California. Every single day there's an earthquake, and everybody just moves on about their life. But since there's tomorrow, we already have plans for a tornado tomorrow. Like, people are already talking about that. So they have all this time to panic about it. And statistically, probably nothing's going to happen to the people who are panicking, you know?
They're getting better at they were talking the tornado stuff 2 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
Very famous YouTube channel.
Everybody watches.
Yeah,
Everybody was on
everybody. And they're getting better at predicting earthquakes as well. Like they've had some good track records in the last few years with the earthquake thing. Tsunamis also. But what do you do? I mean,
that's the point. Like, people don't think about it because there's no, like, if there's no warning system, they don't have time to think about it, and then they just move on. But with this, everybody has weeks at a time to worry, but there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like, you literally can't do anything about it.
Well, it's a huge benefit, I think, because when that storm was coming across Arkansas, you could kind of see probably where they were going to go. And if you were in the path of where it looked like it was going to go, you had hours to leave. If you decided, you know what, actually, I think I should leave this particular corridor.
Yeah.
And that's amazing that we have that. But then with that comes, am I willing to leave? Do I feel bad looking stupid? Or that fear factor where people just paralyze down, and that's not good.
Well, every year I'm like, we should put in a storm shelter. I still don't have it. Like, the next day I've already forgotten that. I'm like, we should probably go film a video with the storm shelter place and have them put one in. But we still haven't done that video. It still hasn't happened.
You could put in a dome home.
You could. You totally could put in a dome home. Those are fireproof too.
Yeah,
fire
tornado
doesn't get them
proof.
tornadoes. We can put a container halfway in the hill. You can berm it up. There's a lot of things you can do.
SRF 24 Dome Home Workshop
With your with the Quickcrete girl.
Yeah. The hempcrete lady. Yeah.
The hempcrete. What's the deal with hempcrete? We're just using hemp instead of other fiber inside there.
Yeah, and so it's antimicrobial, anti-mold, and it allows breathing through. Which is
so is the hemp inside?
Yeah, it's part of the product. It is it's made into concrete.
Okay.
It's made into concrete out of hemp.
Okay.
And it allows for air transmission, which helps, I think, with your air quality inside.
And she's building a castle.
Yeah. I mean, I have to go see the castle at some point.
It's pretty cool.
I also joked about a moat. She's like, well, there is a creek that goes.
Have you been to the castle in Murfreesboro?
I have seen it. I have not been to it.
It's not Murfreesboro, but outside of there.
Yeah, it's where they do the Renaissance Fair every May.
So they added on to that. We were in it, I don't know, 5 years ago probably, when they had 2 towers. It's pretty cool. Like, they built all that shit by hand. They put it all together, and then he's added on quite a bit of it. People use it as wedding venues and stuff. It's very neat.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a castle, build a castle. That's the lesson there.
Well, I want a castle. I just don't want to have to build the castle. I would like people to just come here and build me a castle. Yeah, that'd be.
You don't want a dome home?
I'll take a dome home also. I mean, put me some towers on the dome
turrets.
home. Yeah. Yeah, the dome home thing's cool. We used to see it a lot, or I think I saw it a lot when I was younger. But to hear Jack talk about it, there was one, I guess, that he had actually looked at, and nobody would finance that thing.
Yeah, his was a geodesic dome, which has some similar benefits. The banks don't like the financing. So my house, I financed before the 2008 crash. And it is built into the side of the hill. You've seen it. So I tried to refinance that about 5 years ago at a lower interest rate.
Wouldn't touch it.
They said it was not a house. It was a basement. It was a daylight basement. And it was also because there's a second cabin on property that there were no comps and they couldn't finance it. And I said, what if you make the other one the primary house and my house the guest house? And they were going to do that, but it was taking, the guy who had done the original appraisal was way too skeezed out about that feeling like fraud. And I'm like, they're both 2-bedroom houses. Which one, who am I to say which one's primary? I just know which one I live in.
Yeah, it just sounds like you need a different bank.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter now. So it's going to be paid off in about a year. So now I don't care.
Got it.
But it's funny how that happens, and that is I think one of the biggest roadblocks to innovation in building and natural building that we have is that the banks don't define anything as a house, but your brick or
on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all these municipalities. Like the tiny house thing is really neat, but you have all these municipalities like you can't put a house in that's under 2,500 square feet because a 2,500 square foot house is going to come with a wife and 2.5 kids and dogs, and that's tax revenue, right? Those are kids that are going to go to those school districts. You had everybody coming in here and buying property. They sold a bunch of houses, on the coast out of the big cities and stuff, twice over value, and then come here and they're able to buy 100 acres of property, and they're like, cool. 100 acres of property. Okay, build my McMansion. The contractor's like, no problem, 5 years. They're like, what? So they're kind of stuck like Chuck, They've got their big F-450 and their $100,000 fifth wheel that they're living in. So they go get tiny houses. Cool. More power to you. Well, they did it so much. It happened so much here in Tennessee that your mobile home companies couldn't sell mobile homes. You had lots popping up that had these $160 tiny houses and shit, like beautiful. We were in 30 of them probably, Amanda and I looked at. So they're not moving any mobile homes, none. So much so that they got with Tennessee government, and Tennessee government leaned on the power companies and said, okay, you can't energize these. If you can't hook power to these tiny houses and these sheds anymore, if they don't have a DOT, Department of Transportation number on them. So if they don't have a frame and wheels, they won't put power to them. Now, your workaround is, okay, fuck you guys, we won't pay power. We'll just put up our own solar stuff. Yeah, and generators. But that's what they did. They leaned on them.
Have you noticed that everything that's happened since 2020 is pushing us more and more towards
self-sufficiency
and off-grid?
Yeah. Yeah, but...
Is that the intention?
Is it the intention? Absolutely not. I think that we are the very small, growing much louder group that's growing louder. At some point, I think there'll be something where they come after us for that. Yeah, they'll try to, because we're the pocket, right? But we're evangelizing. We don't even have to speak loudly. People are drawn to that. Yeah. They're just kind of thinking, maybe I don't like these school systems. I don't like these things that are happening in the schools. And I think that there's a lot of pushback in a lot of different directions right now. I think that there's a smoldering fire in a lot of places, and there is a wind coming that's going to ignite a lot of those fires, and that fire is going to become a much bigger fire. I think you're going to see, a lot of turmoil coming for a lot of people. I think there's going to be a lot of, like we're the silent majority, right? We want to just be left alone. I think it's getting to the point where we cannot be alone anymore. We're not going to have that peace anymore without some strife. I think that's coming. A lot of people have this idea that we'll go and just take off and leave society or whatever and just kind of do our own thing. But they're making it more and more difficult for that to happen. Everybody's like, well, we'll just barter, or we'll this, or we'll that. Wait till your fucking bank account's turned off.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Like, it's coming. It's coming. It's happening in other countries right now. It's coming.
I find it interesting that it's happening at a time when Gen X is our age. Mm-hmm. And if you think of how we grew up running into problems all the time and doing something else. Mm-hmm. So that was really good training for now.
You have a lot of...
unless you became a rule follower, Gen Xer, and we have a good number of those, too.
I heard somebody saying, I think it was on Tim Pool, and one of the guests on there said, how is this happening, these absolute insane things, you know? And Tim Pool said, well, people he said, how old are you? And the guy said 52. He said, well, people your age, they're not running things, right? We have these 30-year-olds and these 35-year-olds coming up into power now and starting to run companies. And they look at things differently, right? They were never alive before the internet, right? They never had anything before the internet, like going and playing outside. That was never a thing. That didn't exist. So it's a different type of person. So while I look at that, and people my age look at that and go, "This is absolutely fucking crazy," it's not to them, and it's a different way. They are programmed differently, and that's just it. I think they are actually programmed,
and that's a problem.
It's a problem for us.
Yeah, well, it is.
It's a problem for our way of life.
It is.
But the hopeful side of that is you have millions of kids this year that did not show up to public school, and you have different states giving parents, choice as to where their money goes. They have freedom of choice with schooling, right? You don't have to go to that school anymore. Mm-hmm. The money follows the child. So as crazy as it is, and you hear all these gun laws being passed, it seems like they're just getting shot down left and right once it hits to the top court.
Passing of the law doesn't mean the law happens.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times you hear something passed, and it passed either a House or a Senate and hasn't gone through the whole...
Correct.
Whether it's at the national level or the state level. Like every time you read that, you're like, what passed where? And
you have 30% of Oregon voted to secede from Oregon. I mean...
I know why.
Yeah, but that's that kind of like maybe there's hope.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe there's hope.
Well, that's it. I just bought a pallet of solar panels.
That's fucking awesome.
Because...
What's that look like?
It looked like a really big bill. But I needed 10 for my build, and there's 39 on a pallet, and the price drop for that's so big that I can now resell those.
And get yours for free.
I won't get it for free, reduces the price, but I can also sell them at a rate that is cheaper than what people could get them if they were doing 10 at a time.
What brand did you get?
I cannot remember. But
were they takedowns or?
No, they're brand new.
Wow.
It's a brand new pallet, and they're bifacial, so it picks up suns from both directions. So my footprint for the project we're doing at the end of the month is less than half of what it needed to be. And it cost me $200 or $300 more for the panels total.
You're going to hook them into batteries?
They're going to charge a battery, and then the battery can be charged by those or by the grid or by a generator.
That's cool.
And it'll automatically switch between panel and grid if it needs to.
So in the last year in Egypt, they found some obsidian that somehow was processed with boron.
Oh, interesting.
And they made solar panels. These rocks they found, this obsidian they found, actually puts off an electric current. So just kind of fucking neat,
Just FYI.
Just, yeah. I'm like, I wonder where we could find that. If they could do it back then, right? And who knows? I mean, who knows what the truth really is.
Yeah, I always wonder how far into technology our human civilization has already been.
Yeah, I think we're reset.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we're knocked back. We get a little too big for our britches. I don't think the Egyptians made any of that shit. I think they showed up and they're like, what is all this,
If you ever see a baby play with a phone,
yeah,
it's almost like it's in their DNA to know how to use it. Did that come from the parents, or did that come from a million years ago or whatever? Like, how do they know exactly what to do? And I'm talking... I watched one of my daughters when they were less than a year old scroll and click on the things that they wanted to click on.
Well, how about the USB and the power logo, airplanes, spaceships. Those are in the hieroglyphs, like in Egypt, like carved in the walls.
Guys sitting in like chairs that are flying
yeah.
above them and stuff.
Yeah, fucking wild.
I want a chair that flies really badly.
I would like you to have one.
It's a thing, and there was a guy at SRF that had one. I forgot what it's called, but it's literally a chair that flies.
What?
Yeah, it was like number 2, SRF number 2, and he came to do a demonstration with it.
You're talking about the paramotor guys.
Oh yeah,
it's a chair that flies.
Dark Horse
Kurt.
Lodge.
That's Kurt. Yeah, Kurt's in Paris. There was a tornado in Paris. He's fine.
Have you seen? Does he live in Paris?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's that close to you.
Wow.
Kurt, you need to come visit more.
Have you seen him take apart the lawn blowers and make the fucking crafts and shit out of them, hovercrafts and stuff?
That's cool.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Yeah, I just know because I was working on sheep this week for obvious reasons because Tactical was not going to be running up and down those hills. So I'm taking the 4-wheeler up this, which makes me nervous.
Yeah, that's what's going to kill me.
Yeah, but I borrowed my neighbor's, so it has a roll bar and a seat belt. So I thought, at least if I roll, probably not going to bash my head. I might break my neck.
Is it a Honda Pilot he has?
No, it's I don't know what it is. He got
like a side-by-side?
Yeah, it's a side-by-side. And so I am not willing to go with that thing where Tactical is willing to go with his 4-wheeler. So I was running up and down these hills going, yep, a hover pack right now would be really cool because I was bringing down all the fencing.
Yeah, you're safer. The 4-wheeler's more convenient because I can side saddle it and jump off and open gates, but you're a lot safer in a side-by-side for sure.
I think if I buy something for me, that's what I'm going to get. And it's really handy because I can throw all of that crap in the back and it's in a thing, so...
Yeah, Trish bought a 570, which is identical to my 850. It's just, a little more mellow. And even then, she's like, this thing's pretty snappy. Like, it'll rip your ass off of there if you're not careful with it.
Yeah, I've had a really good cross-training week.
Yeah?
I told Tactical before I came here, I said, so sometime this month, you're doing the cooking and the dishes and all that stuff, and I'm going to do the animals because he's lead on animals. And he said, why? And I said, because if you go down, I need to make sure I know all of the little things that you have not told me about that I don't know about. And then sure enough, he goes down. I'm like, well, I guess this is that week. Speaking of things breaking.
Can you ride a motorcycle?
Yeah.
You have ridden a motorcycle?
Yeah. Before I moved here, I had a motorcycle, so it's been 15 years since I rode one.
A moped or a motorcycle?
No, it was a motorcycle. It was a Honda CB360.
All right.
I loved that thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it was zippy and light.
I totally have you like on a Vespa.
I was on a Vespa once.
Of course you were.
I started with that's how I started, was a scooter.
Push? Did you have a pedal, one of the ones you had to pedal mopeds?
I borrowed it, so no. And then I bought an old 1980, like early 80s Honda. So it was gold something.
Moped or motorcycle?
It was that was a scooter, so it was 49 cc's. It was 150 cc's, so I had to get my motorcycle license for it. I took the class, and I was like, I rode an actual motorcycle in the class, right? And I was like, well, I see why nobody stays on scooters because they're super flippy. Like, they'll fall over. And, you got those nice tires on a motorcycle, a lot more solid. So then the minute I was done with that class, I bought a motorcycle.
You should get something with a sidecar on it.
Yeah, put Tactical in it?
Yeah.
With his knees up here?
Yeah, or a dog. Like with love that. Goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to get another motorcycle now.
I was looking at motorcycles last night.
I was too, actually. It's been a while since I rode one.
Did I send you that video?
No, but I was just on Marketplace. That's something that I always talk about. Everybody wants to have bullets and beans and all that stuff, but if you don't know how to drive multiple things, what if you need to take off somewhere, and it's not your car that you're going to be using? So I always like to hear that people can drive a manual and figure out how to use a motorcycle.
So my dad, I drove every piece of shit car possible as a teenager. And I was telling somebody this story, and I looked at Mom, and I'm like, did you know that, Mom? I was like, oh, of course, you were married to him. And I turned around, and she started laughing because she also drove every piece of shit car. Because he always had a
piece of shit car.
He had good cars, but then he loved to fix cars. So it was like a hobby. So he'd buy these classic cars,
They're not classics yet.
They weren't classics yet, but he would turn them into beautiful things. But there would be, I could pop a clutch in reverse to get out of a parking lot in a Mazda 626 because about 50% of the year the starter wouldn't be working on the thing. And I got to where you didn't have to push it. I could roll with my foot. But all of that was very good for me.
Yeah. Amanda had I don't know what, a Toyota Corolla or some hatchback thing.
Yeah.
Had a giant it was painted flat black, had a giant smiley face with its tongue hanging out on the hood, the whole hood. And she would push start that thing everywhere she went. The starter, I don't think the starter ever worked in that car. Yep.
But that's where I'm glad of that in
Hell
my
yeah.
childhood.
Fucking
because
these kids now, I mean, they
like I now I have a problem if like getting that truck home. If I had wanted somebody besides my mother or me to drive it home, I was going to have to ask the question: can you drive a manual transmission?
Yeah.
And then those tires are not exactly.
You have companies that don't even make manual cars.
Yeah,
anymore.
they can't. And then that one, of course, is tricky because it's that truck, so it takes a little getting used to the clutch. But
does it have that? This is the emergency brake where you pull it straight out like this. Because that's a way to get people to not steal your shit. They don't know how to do that. It's like under the dash and you pull it straight out.
That's true, yeah.
I don't remember what the emergency brake is.
Did you ever have the thing where you just took your steering wheel off? You take it with you in the mall? You take your cassette deck?
Oh, yeah, we had
your
that.
Alpine and your steering wheel? Yeah, they'd lose their shit over that now.
Well, a lot of kids don't even drive at all because a $5 Uber ride is a lot easier
That's
than
true.
learning a skill. You know?
Like everybody's like, 15-minute cities aren't happening. Bullshit. They're happening right now in the United States.
Go to Portland,
right
Oregon.
now.
It is the 45-minute, 15-minute city.
Yep. And they're gonna rein that in. You watch.
Yeah. I left Portland for a reason.
Yep.
That was the reason.
All right. Well.
All right. Cool.
There we go. We're 56 minutes.
Yeah, I talked a long time.
Anything you want to say signing off?
Well, I will say this. We have some really awesome new coffees in at Holler Roast right now that will definitely be roasted 100% by me right now. And we've got a really good Guatemalan that has a fruity flavor. And I usually like a dark roast best. Medium roast on this is awesome.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. So check that out. hollerroast.com if you don't know my coffee site.
When you order your coffee, she roasts it right then. And
I do.
And if you've never had fresh roasted coffee, like you have no idea what you don't know. It's a very different animal. When you have that coffee in the cup and you see the oils in it, it's a very different experience than any coffee you're going to go buy at a coffee chain. So check it out. It's hollerroast.com. She roasts our coffees also, the 2 coffees we've done in the past. Amazing. And she's got a subscription and you can sample different things. And you're supporting a local business, and this is the person, and she supports several other people also. So definitely do business with her. Try her product. It's amazing, and you will get incredible service.
And I guess if you want to hear about random weird journeys in the holler, check out my podcast, Living Free in Tennessee. We do it live on YouTube now, so if you're a video consumer, you can do that, or it's on every audio podcatcher.
Are you streaming to other platforms while you do that also?
Yeah, I stream to, right now it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Odyssey, and I'm going to be adding a few more.
And they can watch it as you're doing it on all those platforms?
Yes.
Really? Just off of the thing we use?
Yeah, off of StreamYard.
Can you do it mobile?
It does not work as well mobile. You can do it mobile. If you're trying to use a special mic and the mobile phone, that's where it runs into issues. But off of your phone, yeah.
Got it. But you have to have good sound quality because you're ripping it to...
Yeah, audio.
Yeah, I'm not, just for lives. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it works great. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sitting down for a minute.
Thanks for having me sit.
Yeah, awesome. And I will... well, you're not leaving yet, but I will be live with you tomorrow. By the time you guys see this... if you're lucky, you will have seen that one.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
We never let it run long enough.